Hey there, and thanks for checking out episode 169 of the Eyes Free Sports podcast. This is your host, Greg Lindberg. Here on this episode, we are chatting with a young lady from Massachusetts, and she has quite the resume when it comes to endurance sports, specifically running marathons and road races. And she actually recently won first place in her division, running the Boston Marathon in 2026. So let's go ahead now and get running toward episode 169 of the Eyes Free Sports podcast. Okay, so joining me on this episode of the podcast is Caitlin Lee, and Caitlin is a very accomplished adaptive endurance athlete and marathoner, and also professionally works as the development officer at ACB, the American Council of the Blind. Caitlin, welcome to Eyes Free Sports.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on the podcast.
Definitely, yeah. When I heard about your story, and I know you recently did the Boston Marathon, which we'll absolutely get into here soon, I was like, I gotta have her on. She's awesome. So
Amazing. Thank you.
definitely, yep. So why don't we just kind of start things off, Caitlin, just with your early years, kind of your formative years, where you were born and where you grew up.
I'm originally from Philly, and I grew up there and the surrounding suburbs, and went to high school in Central Bucks, so outside of Philly. And then I went to the University of Maryland for undergrad and ended up living in DC, and then lived in New York and Brooklyn for 20 years and recently moved to Massachusetts.
Wow, pretty much all the major towns up there in the Northeast.
Yeah, I'm doing the East Coast tour. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So you're a Maryland Terrapin then. You're a Terp.
I am.
Yep.
I'm a Terp. Yeah.
Nice. And as far as your visual impairment, what's your condition?
Yeah, so I have Stargardt disease. So I am the oldest of four children, and both of my parents are carriers. It's a genetic eye condition that causes blind spots in the center of the retina and the macula. And it's also known as like the juvenile form of macular degeneration. I was diagnosed at 16, and I also at that time was became legally blind. So, which means that probably been I had been showing signs of Stargardt's for a long time before that, but it was diagnosed and then discovered that I was legally blind at the same time. So yeah, now I'm 45. So it's been almost 30 years of this. And then yeah, I have two siblings who also have Stargardt. I feel like I missed out on some of the things that my other blind friends and colleagues had in terms of access to resources and sort of what I refer to as like learning blind culture. Like only in the last few years did I start learning how to read Braille. And that was because I pushed really, really hard to try to learn how to read Braille. I got a lot of resistance because people think that Braille isn't something we need anymore. And I would argue we need it more than ever. Um, but but yeah, so it wasn't something that I grew up with and didn't really have. I didn't go to a blind school or get a lot of those sorts of resources. And I think that sort of shaped me later when it was, when I had to learn to advocate for myself. It took longer because I wasn't used to doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Definitely
yeah.
interesting insight.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then so how would you kind of describe your current level of vision?
So, I mean, I've experienced significant vision loss. I still have a lot of usable vision. I recently became a para athlete, and so for that, you have to be classified through the National Paralympic Committee, and when they are doing the classification, it's T11, T12, and T13. T11 is People who are completely blind. T12 is, um, the this next level of visual impairment, and T13 is the least visually impaired of the three categories. So I am T13. So I think that that is important, in terms of my running journey. Our journey as a para athlete, I do have a lot of usable vision, but I guess in terms of my identity, I identify as someone who is blind because I am blind. I meet the legal definition and have for 30 years, and my vision is only degenerating more. So
Right, right.
yeah,
Gotcha. And then I know professionally you've held several interesting roles in your career. If you just want to kind of give an overview of your career
sure.
highlights. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited to work with the American Council of the Blind. I have been there. I started last August, so it hasn't been quite a year yet, but I was really hoping and looking to work in an organization that is led by and centers people who are blind and visually impaired. And that comes out of, I was thinking about this recently because I've done a lot of interesting and incredible things. And there's a lot of work that I've done where I was really proud of what I was doing. But until recently, I wasn't I guess I wasn't out as a blind person. I spent a lot of time trying to accommodate others rather than asking for the accommodations I needed. And I sometimes think, oh, I wonder if I mean, I know I probably would have been even more successful in those roles that I had in the past if I had done a better job of advocating for myself. And so I guess anybody who's listening, I think if you're struggling with that, think about if there's rather than making yourself small, if there's something that you can do to really speak up for yourself, because I think that's when you start to thrive, when you tell your story. But one experience I had was I left a role that I really loved um, during a period where I was experiencing a lot of vision loss, which was in 2020. And the tricky thing about Stargardt's, or like a degenerative eye disease like that, is I don't know if I was experiencing a lot of vision loss because of my age, or if it was because of spending, from you know the time I woke up until the time I closed my eyes at night to, in front of the computer on Zoom calls, or, if it was stress, or, what was happening. But I did experience a lot of vision loss, and it just happened really quickly. It was like things had been stable for a long time, and then just like a lot of things happened at once. And, um, but yeah, anyway, I left the job that I really loved, and I was looking for other things. I mean, I was looking for other work. Everyone kept telling me, well, don't tell them you're blind. Don't tell them you have that you're experiencing progressive. It was like the number one thing. Like, don't tell them. Nobody can know. And so
Right.
then it was like, oh, I can't talk about it on the internet. I can't have it on my LinkedIn. I can't talk about it with my future employer. It was like, you better get the job. And what, like, which I had done literally for every other job. I would wait until I had the position, but suddenly things felt really different. Like in 2020, I finally got orientation and mobility training and learned how to use my white cane, and so it just felt really different to, even though I was doing most of these interviews via Zoom, it felt really like a lie to be like, oh, I'm gonna not tell you. Especially one thing that I struggled with in Zoom was really trying to appear sighted. Like I
Right.
must look
Right.
sighted this whole time during interviews, and it was like so just so discouraging. So anyway, I because of that experience, I really felt like it was making me feel even more I guess closeted as a blind person. Like I can't talk about it. I can't tell my future employers, it better not be on the internet. No one can know. This is like, the worst thing you can do if you're looking for a job. And so then I decided I really just wanted to work for an organization where I could fully be myself. I could be all of the aspects of my identity, and means being blind. And so when I heard about the opportunity at ACB, I was really excited because not only is it an organization that is led, the leadership are people who are blind. It is also shaped by that. Like there's so many organizations out there that um, it's even in the name, right? It's the American Council of the Blind, not for the blind. And I think maybe I'll just leave it there, but it's for us by us. It's nothing what is it? Nothing without us. Nothing
Well, yeah, I know
oh
what
my
you're
gosh.
saying. I forget the term though.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's not coming to me right now. But I'm sure someone's screaming at their
Device.
device. Yeah, their Alexa, whatever they're listening to this on right now, because I can't think of it. Um, that was really important to me, and I have to say it really has made such a difference. I feel like the success I've had this past year, for instance, with running, I think is really linked to being myself and being um, embracing and loving that part of me, the part, you know, that I had to hide.
Yeah, I appreciate you being so transparent about that and can so relate to so many things you just mentioned there. The whole disclosure thing when it comes to jobs. And I remember a time where I had a phone interview and I didn't disclose my blindness. And then I showed up and the hiring manager just, flipped out and made it super awkward. And I
Mm,
was like, there's no way in heck, I'm ever going to get this
yeah.
job. No matter how good this
Mm,
interview might possibly go, which, is probably not going to happen no matter what. So,
right, right.
so I definitely learned after that. In my case, at least, disclosure, but obviously based on levels of
Hmm.
vision, or it is a very
Hmm.
subjective thing. So,
Yeah. I mean, I had been hired for positions before ACB, and then quickly those positions went away because, without me even having an opportunity to show that I could do the work, the employer saying, it's not going to work out. We didn't realize that you were blind. It's not going to work out. It's like, oh, this is so frustrating. Like, I know what I'm capable of, and you're not going to allow me the opportunity to show you. And, that's just, it's the most frustrating thing.
exactly. So, yeah, just tell me a little bit more about your role as development officer at ACB.
Yeah, I love it because, in ACB, there's we're all wearing many hats, and it's exciting. Like, I think that it sometimes that can be, a not positive thing in organizations where you're like, I don't know what my role is. I think my role is defined. I'm working in fundraising and development. I work primarily with, the on the side of individual donors, but I also get the chance to work, with our grants and corporate side. I'm really excited. Actually, this is ACB's 65th anniversary, 65th birthday, and right now I'm working with a small team on looking back at ACB history and how we're telling the story of ACB, and that is like really exciting to me. I love storytelling. I love history. I love everything I'm learning as kind of delving into this. So that's an exciting thing, and so I get to kind of be in these different meetings and work with different people, and it's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of ACB's national convention, which is in July this year in St. Louis, Missouri. This will be my first time at the ACB National Convention, and yeah, it's like I hear, it's somewhat exhausting, but also the energy is incredible, and there's going to be so many people that I get to meet, so it's really exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, this will be my, I think, fifth time attending in person. So
Yes. Oh,
hopefully
good.
look
I get to
forward
meet you in
to
person.
meeting. Yeah,
Amazing.
that would be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know we do have, as far as ACB, I guess we can kind of get into it now. Just some kind of recreational slash athletic related things happening kind of surrounding ACB and the convention.
Mhm.
I do know as far as blind hockey, there is going to be a blind hockey demo with some of the folks from the U.S. national blind hockey team, which I'm really, really
So
excited
cool.
about.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that too. Yeah, I mean, I wish this is part of the thing. I did not grow up seeing myself as an athletic person, but I also didn't know that I had an eye disease. And so I didn't understand why I didn't have hand eye coordination. Now I know why that was such a challenge. But
Yo,
I didn't know as a kid, like, I was the only kid that was cut from the softball team in fifth grade. And that's because I got hit in the face with the ball.
oof, yeah,
um, and yeah, now I know what that was about. Probably better that I didn't end up on the team, but at least for my nose. But now I'm really excited about all of the sports. Like, one thing that I wanted to do, I still haven't had a chance to do, that I'm really excited about is blind tennis. I feel like I would love that, and yeah, that's something that I'm really hoping to be able to do at some point in the future.
yeah. I have had the chance to try that, and hoping to start a
Mhm.
program here in Florida at some point. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
It's really cool.
yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know we also have the Brenda Dillon Memorial Walk, kind of the traditional walk at convention as well, to try to get folks out, moving and walking around town a little
That's
bit.
right. Yeah, it's July 27th is, yeah, the Brenda Dillon Memorial Walk. Again, to fit in with ACB's birthday, there's a fundraising goal of $65,000. So for 65 years, I guess it's 1K per year. But yeah, this year we actually have more teams than ever that are participating. So it's really exciting. And whether you're at the convention and want to participate there and do the walk with us, or you can, be still participating even if you're not attending the convention by making a donation or forming a team where you live, doing the walk the same day as us. But spreading the word, telling people about ACB. But it's really great because it also not only supports ACB national, but it supports the affiliates. So if you belong to, say, the Florida chapter of the American Council of the Blinds, you can join a team, and that will go to, the split the fundraising proceeds with the affiliates. So I love that about the Dell Memorial Walk.
Absolutely, yeah, and great point too about the virtual attendees. There are options for them as
Hmm.
well to do stuff like that too, which is neat.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then just one other thing, the Get Up and Get Moving committee. I know is
Yeah,
doing
I
some
mean
cool stuff
that's
too.
something. Yeah, that is with Leslie Spoon and Donna Brown, and they do an amazing job with that. I mean, they're constantly bringing movements via Zoom to people who are participating, in the program. So it's such an important part of ACB. I mean, we'll get into it, I guess, more, but I think that's one of the things is that people with disabilities are often left out of mainstream sports and fitness activities. And so, we are, we're finding our own ways to get up, get moving. So I just love that is, such a central part of what's happening at convention and, year round.
Absolutely, no doubt. So then, kind of going back to your personal journey, your personal story when it comes to athletics and sports.
Mhm.
So were you pretty active as a kiddo growing up?
Yes and no. I was not an athletic kid. I was so this is before I was legally blind. I did have vision, and I was a bookworm.
Yep.
I just read nonstop all the time. I, would, I think actually when I think back, I really don't know if there was ever a time where I could really see the blackboard in school. Or we have blackboards because I'm old. I guess now there's whiteboards or sprints. I don't really know what they're doing,
Smart
but
boards, all the newfangled. Yeah.
but I could not see what was going on in the front of the class, but I could see a book. And so I think I spent most of school doing my own thing, just reading my own book. Like I was a good student, but I was really just teaching myself because I had no idea what was going on in the front of the room. I mean, I was listening, but a lot of times I was just like enjoying, whatever little escape that, my book was providing. And I guess in terms of sports, so I'm the oldest, like I mentioned, I have three brothers and they were really athletic. And so it just seemed like it wasn't for me. I often say to my friends who are parents, it's really important that your kids see you doing things. Like I think if I had more examples of like adults also doing the thing, then maybe it would have led me to do that more, like my
Yeah.
parents, they got me into track, I guess when I was in 6th or 7th grade. And I thought they were trying to kill me. I remember the first day, like out there in my like Adidas Sambas, I ran 100 meters and I thought my lungs were going to explode. Like it was the hardest thing. And then, yeah, I did, do track meets. I did cross country, but I was, the slowest kid. Like if I wasn't coming in last, if there was another kid behind me, I would literally slow down and be like, I got this. I got this. I know I'm supposed to be last. You go ahead. Cause
Wow.
I was just like, yeah. So big change when I discovered that I loved running in my 20s. I think everyone in my family was shocked because I did not grow up loving running.
Interesting. Yeah. Total 180
Yeah.
as an adult, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now it's one of the most important things in my life. But as a kid, no, I never could have imagined this for myself as a child. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, even with myself, I grew up, as a bowler on bowling leagues, with fully sighted
Mm-hmm.
folks, but didn't discover adaptive sports till my mid 20s. So I feel like in
Mm.
some ways, it's kind of common. And I've interviewed a lot of folks that, like you're saying too, kind of pursued sports maybe more so as an adult, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you were asking me about my career before, and I started out in my 20s, pretty soon out of college, working at a yoga studio. And while I was there, I mean, even before I started working there, I was falling in love with yoga and I became a certified teacher during that time. But I think part of it was that it was accessible to me. Like once I learned, I mean, I had incredible teachers who would help me figure out what the proper alignment was and come over and do like a physical adjustment to help me do things right. And once I learned it in my body, then someone could just say the pose and I could just listen and then be able to do it. And there's sun salutations, there's sequences that you do. And I think that was, it wasn't consciously adaptive, but it was my first experience of being able to do something that in a way was adapted for me. And it's something even now when I'm teaching, if I'm teaching a yoga class, I am thinking about how I'm describing every movement and what it might feel like in your body so that if I'm not necessarily teaching to a blind audience, but that people don't have to be, visually looking to know what the next thing is or what they're supposed to be doing with their arm or their toes or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Interesting. So then when it comes to, in terms of running, I'm curious kind of what was your first race, as an adult? Was it like a
Oh,
5K or what was your
it
kind of
was,
first?
yes.
Yeah, yep.
So I had been doing yoga and I got into really good physical shape. And then I did start working out a lot more and doing all kinds of different fitness classes and starting to see myself as I remember, a coworker said to me, like, "Oh, you're an athlete." And I was like, "What? No, I'm not." Like, that seemed absurd. And then I was like, "Oh, like, how do we define athlete? Like, what is athlete?" And then I realized, no, I am athletic. I am an athlete. And I started to just shift my mindset around that. And I think that was actually really important because then I was more willing to try new things. And there's lots of things, like I lived when I first moved to New York, I would take dance classes with my friends, and a lot of them were extremely accomplished dancers, like on Broadway dancers. And
Wow.
we would go
Yeah.
and they would say, "Oh, this is just a basic class. It's a beginner class. You'll be fine. You're so athletic. You're a great dancer. You'll be fine." I was not fine. And I'd be kind of trying to explain to the teacher, "Oh, I'm legally blind. I don't know, you know." And then I realized it doesn't matter. Like I'm not embarrassed by not being able to do the thing. Like sometimes I'm going to do it and it's going to be amazing and I'm going to have a great experience and it's going to be an incredible teacher. And sometimes the that teacher's going to be frustrated, or they're going to say, "I'm not taking it seriously," even though I'm trying, my hardest to follow what's going on. And that's not about me. It's okay. So I think it just kind of like let go of feeling embarrassed about trying new things. And then I just wanted to try everything. And yeah, friends wanted me to run a 5K with her. I think I was like 20, I think I was maybe 28 at the time. And I had started running a little bit with one of my friends. She had some friends who were like on the NYU from college who had been like on the NYU track team. And I don't know, I ended up kind of running with them, but I would just be slow. But like, I didn't take it that seriously. But then when my friend said, "Oh, do you want to run this 5K?" I was like, "I'm going to train for it. I'm going to see if I can really do it." And every day, I didn't know how to train. I would just run a 5K on the treadmill. And so when it came time to for the race, I showed up with my friend, and I just saw her as someone who was way more athletic than I was. And I thought we were running it together. And we were not. She put in her headphones and kind of just, yeah, was not really interested in running with me. So I took off, and I remember kind of following this guy like right behind him as much as possible. And then I just noticed there was like really no other women running around me. And I finished, and then we went to brunch and did whatever. We like, it was young. Like the night before I went out, I was drinking. I didn't care, I just didn't get that seriously. And then we looked
Right.
at the race results, and it was like, oh, I won my age group for for this my first 5K. So it was like, oh, this is a totally different thing. Like turns out that it was a small race. So this is not, I'm not talking about any kind of serious thing, but I was shocked, and it gave me a little bit of confidence because I didn't see myself as a runner. I didn't see myself as athletic. And then all of a sudden I was running with ease and like winning my age group at a race and didn't even mean to. So, and yeah, and then after that, I kept running and I was like, I want to run a marathon. I want to run longer distances. I want to beat my brothers in a race.
Gotta beat those younger
um,
brothers.
I
Yep.
got to beat the
Somehow.
younger brothers who are who grew up playing all the sports and being super, yeah. And yeah, there were things, I don't know, I just got into it. And then, yeah, that actually led me to working for um, New York Road Runners, which is the organization that puts on the New York City Marathon. And the New York City Marathon is the world's largest marathon, or it was. Let's see how things go in 2026. But yeah, it's honestly, when I moved to New York, so 20 years ago, it was just a magical day. So it was, I wasn't running marathons at the time. I was on the sidelines, drinking Bloody Marys. But I knew it was a special day. I was like, this energy is incredible. It became like my favorite holiday was, spectating. And then I started volunteering at the marathon, and then I ran the marathon. And but yeah, when the opportunity came up to work for New York Roadrunners, I was so excited to be a part of that team and putting together not only the New York City Marathon, but there's 65 other road races a year, and a lot of them are really big races, like the New York City Half Marathon, the Brooklyn Half Marathon, the Bronx 10 miler. Like these are big races, big events. Eventually, I managed the Run Center, which is a facility right by Central Park that has 2,000 visitors a day and a ton of events, from coaching to panels. With world class runners, Olympians, celebrity runners. It was incredible. And then I became the director of operations, and yeah, it really was an exciting time to be a part of the organization, and that definitely led to me running more marathons and getting even more excited about running, which I already was. And before, I guess even before that, I became a running coach. And I got a second certification when I was working there. So yeah, I have a couple of coaching trainings as well. My background.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
curious, was it the New York City Marathon? Was that your first foray into marathons?
No, my first marathon was the DC Rock and Roll Marathon, which was I ran in 2012. It was March. It was the same weekend as St. Patrick's Day. It was really hot. I remember I trained really hard. I was running fast, but I didn't quite understand how to run marathons. I mean, I still feel like it's hard. You can feel really confident in other distances, and marathoning is challenging. But I thought I would qualify for Boston the first time, and yeah, I went out there, and yeah, I just kind of fell apart at the very very end. It was a hot day. It was in the 80s. It was a hot day.
Right.
But it was a great experience. And then I ended up running. I was supposed to run the New York City Marathon in 2012, but that was the same year as Sandy, Superstorm Sandy.
Oh, that's
And
right.
so, yeah, they ended up canceling the race, which was obviously the right thing to do. Um, and but I did end up running it in 2013, and that was the first time I ran New York, or the only time actually. So New York, I want to come back and run again. Yeah, it was great. You can't, as an employee of New York Roadrunners, you can't run the
I see.
the marathon. It's an all hands on deck kind of situation. So once I started working there, I was no longer able to run that race, but that led me to run other incredible marathons.
Right.
So I've run at this point well over 100 road races. I've run 10 marathons. I'll run my 11th this fall. I've run over 50 half marathons. So a lot of racing happens since that first 5K.
No doubt. Yeah, that's quite
Yeah.
a lot of miles you put on those legs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. As far as adaptations when it comes to running, just talk to me about kind of your approach to that.
I ran the Boston Marathon for the first time this year in April. Yeah, so 2 months ago,
Yep.
and I won first place in my division, so the T13 para athlete division, which I still can't believe that happened. But
Congrats. Yeah.
thank you. But I didn't know that I was eligible to be a para athlete until this year. Um, and I think really things changed for me, like I said, in 2020 when I started losing more of my vision and more quickly. And started using a cane. And so I actually didn't run for a couple of years. So I took, I I just thought that I wasn't going to be able to run marathons anymore. Like when lockdown happened, at that point I had been running almost every day. I ran with my running partner. We would run in Central Park, and we mostly would do like a loop of Central Park. So the outer loop of Central Park is just shy of a 10K, so like 6 miles. And yeah, we would run pretty consistently, whether we were training for something or not. I mean, my running partner is incredibly accomplished. He runs a sub 3 hour marathon. He's run a marathon in every state. He's run in
Wow.
many different countries. But we were colleagues, and I think it was like a way for us to, after work, kind of like run, chat about the day, get some things, out in the open that we might be frustrated with. We often ran with other friends as well. But what I didn't know that was sort of happening was that he was not just like my friend and my coworker and my running partner, but he really was like an unofficial guide. Like I didn't know that how how much he was really acting like a guide for me. And I realized it when we were in lockdown. So he lived in, or he still lives in New Jersey, and I live in Brooklyn. And so I was like not able to yeah, just safely run through the streets of Brooklyn on my own. And I really like, it just hit me like, oh, okay, like my vision's changed a lot, and I can't just like do this the way I once did. And it was like, it was frustrating. I kind of was like, okay, well, there's the treadmill, there's the track, like there's other things. And then I knew about Achilles, which is an organization that pairs runners with disabilities with guides, and they're amazing. But they weren't meeting, I don't think, in person, but also that they were far away. I was a little bit hesitant because I don't, at the time, and where I lived in Brooklyn, I didn't actually live close to Central Park or Prospect Park, which are the two meetups that they had. So I just kind of felt like stuck and like by myself and isolated, and I got into other things. I am now an athlete and a sporty person, and I got really into, so um pre 2020, or I guess the beginning of 2020, I was getting into boxing.
Wow. Wow.
And I got super into boxing. And then because of that, I also got really into jump rope, um and we weren't meeting in person. The boxing gym was closed, but I sort of had this goal for myself that when the boxing gym reopened, I wanted to be good at jump rope. Like I was pretty uncoordinated. So I started making these jump rope videos where I was struggling to like, learn how to jump. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can do these fancy moves, and I can shuffle, and I can like do these crazy things with jump rope that I didn't expect. So that was really fun, a fun challenge while I wasn't running. But I really did miss it. And I felt like there was like a part of my identity that was missing. And so I think it was in 2022, it was either 2022 or 2023, I started running with Achilles in Central Park. And that was incredible. So, like, go meet up with them, like, run with a guide, and just get like confident again about running. And now, I mean, so I still like I said in the beginning, I have usable vision. The things that I'm concerned about are things that are coming directly towards me, and then things on the ground. So
Right.
anything that's in my central vision. So in a way, when I'm racing, we're all going in the same direction. So I'm less worried about things in like a racing capacity, because it would be really weird if somebody turned around and like full force started running towards me in a race. um, but in the real world, like what was happening, in Brooklyn was like I was getting like almost run over every time I, walked out the door by like a scooter or a bike or yeah, somebody just running in the opposite direction, towards me. And So it
Sure.
was quite a precarious situation. But yeah, so I don't at this point, like my partner and I actually, I'm really lucky. I My girlfriend is a great runner, and she is a super athletic person. And so she wasn't a distance runner, but she's becoming one.
Nice.
And
Yep.
so we run most of our runs. If we're going to run outside, we run together. I was mentioning before, we started the call that the podcast that I um, did in the winter. I just ran on the treadmill, all treadmill, because I can't be, risking falling on ice. Even if I have someone running with me, it's just too dangerous. But yeah, I actually, I don't hate the treadmill. So it's controversial, but I don't hate it. It makes it so that I can run safely. And I don't know. I just kind of like get in the zone. I think it's making me mentally stronger. And at least that's what I'm telling myself.
Right.
So, it's like if you have limited choices, then you're just gonna. I also really, really love running. And is that a coincidence, or is it because I can't drive? I don't know.
True. True. Could be,
Yeah.
multiple reasons.
Actually, there's a lot of blind people who hate walking. So yeah, maybe there's more to, yeah.
That's true.
I'm not gonna speak for all blind people. Sorry.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So as far as running with a guide, I'm curious just your take on kind of that, relationship in terms of communication, and what do you think, makes an effective partnership?
It's the more that you do it. Like, I think at this point with my girlfriend, it's really helpful because we've been doing it together a lot. So she knows, and we have like little shortcut things like, if we're running, say we're running on a sidewalk and there's there's a bump or there's whatever, she just says feet. And like, I know that means like, okay, there's something ahead. Like, that's what I'm doing. Or she'll kind of like be sort of steering me to, one side or another. I didn't run the Boston Marathon with a guide. And, that's something that I'm still thinking about, if I will next year or I will going forward. Basically, like I said, my girlfriend is running with me, but she doesn't run marathons. And I wasn't really sure, since I hadn't been training with a guide, I was running on a treadmill, how that would go. But I'm open, to that going forward. But yeah, I think it's something that for me it would be, wanting to make sure that we're communicating really well. One thing that would happen when I first started running with a guide is I would explain what I needed, but then, especially since we were running in Central Park, the guide a lot of times would forget. Like we would go over it and then they would forget, and then it would be like last minute, like they would realize, oh, you're not seeing this bike that's coming towards you, just like, or just like something that's pretty important. So thankfully nothing happened, but I would have to be like, okay, I need to stop being so chatty and talking so much, because they will get caught up in the conversation. And if you're not used to running with somebody, it's just sometimes you just like, you think you're out for a regular run and you're not, you're acting as a guide.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I know I've interviewed several, blind and visually impaired runners that they're like, they share everything with their guides and vice versa. It's a very personal kind of connection. So I can kind of see how you can, get caught up in a conversation, or it's like, oh yeah, we are actually running. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I am such a yapper. So I mean, that's one of my favorite things about distance running is like, it's a sport where you can chat with people and get to know people and um, tell stories.
right.
I mean, you're not doing that when you're racing, but but in training, it's like you're forming these really great relationships, and I don't know, I really just like, I loved getting to do that with the guides at Achilles, but I also would yeah, with some guides it was just funny to like remind them, yes, you are guiding right now too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I do wonder also, do you ever use your white cane to run? And then also, I'm curious your take on like the Meta glasses or some of these other, wearables that some runners have started to
Mhm.
use recently.
Yeah, so I don't when I did my cane training, I asked about that. So I originally did the training. I really wanted to get so I met this guy who he is the first person. We didn't actually talk. I think I just gave him his race bib. But I was really curious about him because he was the first person to run a marathon with guide dogs. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a thing. You can run, with a guide dog. And I was really excited about that. So I think that was sort of the first thing I had in my head. And they were like, okay, well, you back up, back up, back up. You have to first learn how to use white cane. You need orientation mobility training, which people have been saying to me for years. But I was like, I don't need that. I really was trying to separate myself from other blind people, which, ultimately was hurting me. But at the time, I just was like, I didn't claim, a blind identity. I didn't claim a disabled identity. And so I was really bad at asking for help. So it took, a lot to be like, okay, now I'm going to use a cane. But yeah, when I asked them, when I did the training and asked about using a cane, they were like, well, that's not what it's for. Like, no. But I've since talked to people who do run with their canes. So I
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, to be honest, though, it's when I'm walking with the cane, it can really like hurt my wrist sometimes. I don't know how running would work. I'm
That's
curious, but
true.
also I know there's different. Maybe I would need to use the right, um, like cane tip, and there's things I need to learn. So I need to ask more questions. Um, so I've talked to people who do that, but I don't know any in person. So maybe I'll meet somebody, or if anybody's listening to this and wants to tell me more about it. I guess with meta glasses, so I don't have meta glasses, but my brother does, and he uses them. He actually uses them to ride his bike,
Hmm.
which is yeah, which I don't do that. But but also we have different. His vision is better than mine, and like that's cool. That's working for him. But I am really curious. Yeah, I really want a pair. And also, I'm just like, yeah, I think it would be really interesting to see what it would be like to use them on a run. And yeah, if it'd be helpful, I have no idea. I mean, in general, I think that the meta glasses are, people I know who have them tell me it's a game changer. And I'm not really sure. I want them. Yeah, I want them. And I don't know how it would impact my running. So I'll report back.
Sure, for part two. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yep. Any other sports like goalball, beat baseball? I know you mentioned wanting to try tennis potentially. Any other sports
Oh
you
my
have
God.
tried or others you are interested
Yeah.
in?
Well, all of these, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I wish when I was younger, I had gotten into these things. Like, I love the Paralympics, I love all the things that are happening. But one thing I wanted to really say about my experience of, winning my division at the Boston Marathon is I was also the youngest person in my division, and the other people, it was circumstantial. They are incredible runners. Like any one of us could have, it's just when you're racing, like circumstances will change, but it's not because I'm necessarily like so much faster. They are incredible runners. But what I think is interesting is that there's not more young people who are running marathons who are blind or visually impaired. And it's because of a lack of access, is it because of a lack of inclusion in these spaces. And I really want to see that change. Somebody shouldn't, at 45 years old, shouldn't be the first place winner. And I'm really proud of my accomplishment. I'm really excited about it. And at the same time, it means that we're not at a place where there are opportunities for people to be able to get involved in sports in a mainstream way. even this division of para athletics is pretty new. Most marathons don't have this division. So there's wheelchair and hand cycle, and that they've been around for decades. But this is, for runners who are blind and visually impaired, this is a new thing. Not even all of the world marathon majors have this yet. So Boston really has been leading the way. For years, they have had a division for people. So it wasn't a para athlete division, but for people who ran a sub 5 hour marathon who are blind or visually impaired could qualify for to run Boston. And then they started, I think it was in 2021 or 2022, the para athlete division of T11, T12, and T13. So I feel really lucky, but it's kind of new. And like I said, I've been running marathons for years and worked for this organization. But even with all the resources I have and having worked for New York Road Runners, I didn't even know that until I started working at ACB, actually, that I could be a para athlete. So It was because of working at ACB. I went to my chapter's meeting, which is Bay State Council of the Blind, and there I was telling the story of running the Berlin Marathon, which I had just run in September, and then somebody connected me, to someone else who connected me with Team with a Vision, and then they were like, okay, there might be spots, and then then that person connected me with the Boston Athletic Association, and they connected me with someone else. There's just this whole line of things that happened, and I mean, it's so incredible that, like, even in October, I applied to run for the Chicago Marathon because that is a goal of mine, and I put myself in for the lottery. And as it turns out, I would have qualified as a para athlete, but I didn't know that. And so it was too late when I reached out to them and was like, hey, I just won my division at Boston. They were like, sorry, it's too late, but you can do that for next year. So it's one of those things I didn't even know that it was possible. And I hope that, by talking about it more, that people who are interested will reach out. And I was really, like I said, inspired by your the last episode that you did. I think there's a lot of people who are trying to find ways to be in these spaces, and I just believe in it strongly. Like, I think that running for me has changed my life, and I think sports are just so important for building community and wellness in general, and it's needed for people who are blind and visually impaired.
Absolutely. And that's definitely a big, mission of this podcast, just to raise awareness. And but like you said too, there are a lot of, whether it's financial barriers or having to travel somewhere, or access to
having a guide.
Access to guides, or obviously inaccessible equipment when it comes to going to a gym or exercising. So there's just so many things that we're all trying to push for and advocate for, and that is really interesting about kind of the super recent additions to some of these marathons when it comes to blind runner categories and whatnot. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I'm excited. Actually, this weekend, or I guess next Sunday, I'll be running the Boston Athletic Association's 10K, which is, a lot of it's on the Boston Marathon course. So that's exciting. Same, like, it'll be on Boylston Street. So reliving those memories from 2 months ago. But and they have a para athlete division for that as well. So I'll be, competing as a para athlete there. But that's also, again, like, I don't really know of too many other 10Ks that have that. 10K is not I'm like, ooh, that makes me more nervous than a marathon. Just I'm not used to, I'm better at running far than running shorter and faster. But the
Hmm.
shorter the distance, the more intimidating the race is. But I'm excited about it. And again, like I don't even know. I hope that there's other people competing in my division. I'm not really sure, but it's pretty new again. But we need more opportunities like this. This is, something that should be a part of every major race and hopefully every race. Anyone that is doing, there should be adaptive options at the very least, but also these classifications and categories for people with disabilities.
No question. Very well said. And by the way, what was your time for the Boston Marathon?
It was 3 hours and 44 minutes, which
Oh,
again,
wow.
I'm really proud of. That was PR for me, but also you can see why I was shocked because it is not. I think Sharon Lochte ran 2 hours and 12 minutes or something. I mean,
Mm,
incredibly fast elite runner. So while it is a fast time, I am proud of it. I hope that there's going to be some more young people who are racing in the coming years, and not that there's anything, not that older runners should be running. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's, I'm lucky and so grateful to be getting faster at middle age. And I hope that I continue to do that. But I also want to see younger people out there and racing with me.
right, right. But yeah, it sounds like
Mhm.
you're like a fine wine, get better with age, right?
That's what I mean. I don't think any of this is linear. I feel like that's my whole thing. I don't think it's not linear. Like, I feel like, incredible. If anything, maybe more of recovery time is needed between hard workouts. But, other than that, like, I'm just learning my body better, learning how, I mean, that's the thing with technology too. This is the first time that I can't see my watch. I feel like all of those watch companies like Garmin, what are you doing? Like, there's such an opportunity, not just for people who are blind and visually impaired, but like, you know, as somebody in my 40s, I have a lot of friends who are wearing, reading glasses for the first time and they can't see their watch either. So
Yeah.
I think we need to really be thinking about these like mainstream companies and their sports watches, but like it's been hard for me to train with pace or I mean, definitely don't care about like my heart rate and so, as technology is getting better for the first time, I'm starting to be able to use some of that to train a little smarter. And I think also the treadmill helped to just being really precise with what a specific pace would feel like in my body because I knew what it was on the treadmill.
Right, right. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, then before we put a bow on this episode, definitely wanted to give you the chance, Caitlin, just to mention any contact info as far as email address, social media. If folks want to reach out, how can they get in touch with Caitlin Lee?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start with professional. So if you want to reach out to me in the capacity of what I do in development at the American Council of the Blind, you can reach me at clee, CLEE at acb.org or donate at acb.org. You can also just visit the website, acb.org. So yeah, that's where I am at American Council of the Blind. If you're interested in, yeah, following along on my training journey, or if you want some coaching, I have accounts on Instagram and TikTok, and both of those, the handle is Brooklyn Skipping. Um, Brooklyn, like as in Brooklyn, New York, and skipping, like skipping rope, Brooklyn Skipping, because those were jump rope accounts, but now there's more running than jump rope on those accounts. So
Cool. And as usual, I'll include links to those in the show notes for everyone to find there as well.
amazing. Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Caitlin, for your time. Really enjoyed this conversation. You just offered so
Yeah.
much really interesting and unique insight on so many things, on your journey and about athletics and running. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Greg, thank you so much. This was an honor to be on your podcast. I love what you're doing here. And there's just so many incredible people that you talk to. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. To hear more episodes of the Eyes Free Sports podcast and to subscribe, search for Eyes Free Sports on your favorite podcast platform or visit eyesfreesports.com. Be sure to follow the Eyes Free Sports podcast at facebook.com/eyesfreesports and on Twitter at Eyes Free Sports.